Hello TL Travelers and welcome back to the TL Travel YouTube channel. If you are new here, welcome to the family. Right now I am taking you through South America using tips and tricks and story times and all of those fun things from a trip that I had sort of back in the archives. We took this trip, my husband and I, or well, my now husband, back in 2014, and we learned a ton of lessons and had a ton of fun, and it was really our first big trip together, but it was before I had TL Travel and before I had the YouTube channel. So while we did take some photos and some videos, we did not vlog it, which, oh, I wish we had. But now is the perfect time to take you back down memory lane with me and share some fun stories, ridiculous stories, travel fails and hacks and tips and all of the fun stuff. And yeah, today, if you read the title, you know what I'm talking about. And I am talking about our first big fight on the road because, yeah, when you're traveling with another person, eventually there's gonna be some tension. So if you've not already, hit that subscribe button. Definitely go ahead and do it. We post new travel content every Thursday and Sunday, and we've got a ton more from South America for you guys coming up. We're really just getting started, but the setting for today's story time is Argentina. Now, to give you guys some context, I had actually started planning this 6-month backpacking trip as a solo backpacker on a super tight budget before I met Derek. So it had been sort of in the works for a long time, and then later down the line, after I met Derek, he wanted to join me, and of course I wanted him to join as well. But Derek does travel on a bit higher of a budget than I do. He's a little bit more of a comfort traveler than I was. I'm clearly a comfort traveler now. So because we did have two very different styles of travel, we did need to find a way to work together to sort of make South America work and make it work on a budget that worked for us both. We were engaged at the time, but you know, I'm just a stubborn person, and I really prefer to be able to take care of myself when we're doing the things that we're doing. So for this trip, I did make it very clear that if I couldn't afford to do it, we weren't doing it. Does that make sense? But as you guys know, up until this point, Derek had been a real trooper. He'd been staying in hostels with me, some really unfortunate choices, and long overnight bus rides. And Derek doesn't do well on buses. He gets pretty motion sick on long rides, especially in the dark when there's no scenery or anything to be seen outside. So he was kind of at his wit's end, and I will admit, I think I had pushed him to his limit just a little bit. So from where we left off in northern Argentina, we needed to make our way to Iguazu Falls, which had been on my bucket list for so long. Iguazu is absolutely beautiful. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, definitely check it out. If you're planning a trip to South America, oh my gosh, love it. We'll talk more about that, in the next video. So from where we were in northern Argentina, to get to Iguazu Falls, we were looking at a bus ride around 20 hours. Which might sound crazy to you, but at the same time, you're crossing huge expanses of land. Expansive? A lot of land. You're covering a lot of ground. And not only had I budgeted the time to make this journey, but I had also sort of planned to do the trip in a couple of parts and, break it up a little bit with a night somewhere in the middle, maybe head into Paraguay if we could make that happen. But Derek was pretty clear on flying, and even more so when he found out that a flight to Iguazu was only going to be 4 hours. Now, to be clear, when I say fight, for any of you who don't know Derek, haven't seen him in my videos, haven't met him in person, he is a very even-tempered person. So when I say fight, I mean heated discussion, I guess, heated disagreement. To this day, I've never seen the man yell, and we've been together for 6 years now, I think. But he had put his foot down, and it was something that I had never really experienced with him before that way. I could tell that there was some anger and frustration and annoyance deep down, mixed a little bit with the dread of a 20-hour, completely avoidable bus ride. So we came to a compromise using a technique that we use still to this day for many things. Basically, I just had Derek decide how much he was willing to pay for this flight. And he came up with a figure in his mind. I came up with a figure in my mind that I was comfortable paying for the flight. If there was a flight in that budget, then sure, we'd go ahead and take it. His number was obviously a little bit higher than mine because he was pretty desperate to fly. But once we sort of like came together on a common ground as far as what our budget would be, we Googled the flights and it turned out that there was in fact a budget flight available for our dates that came in just somewhere in between our two budgets. And so we decided, okay, you know what? Fine, we shall fly. And in exchange for those flights, we would make up for it by spending a little bit less on our accommodations in Iguazu Falls, which didn't end up really being that big of an issue anyways, so it all worked out. When push comes to shove on any sort of long trip, or really any trip at all, where you're traveling with another person, there is bound to be things that you agree and disagree on, especially if one person, this person, has planned the trip before you joined in. So just kind of like figuring out a way, the best way for the two personalities to compromise is gonna be the best way to get through things. That was really the first like big dispute that Derek and I had on that trip, and it sort of like laid the groundwork for the rest of our trip, how we would solve problems together and how we would communicate when problems were arising. And it was like a huge, huge help. And on a little off note, in hindsight, it was pretty great that we didn't take the bus, because the night before we were flying out of Salta, both of us got really, really bad food poisoning and ended up having to upgrade our room to like an air-conditioned room in our hotel and pay for like an extended checkout so that we could sleep right up until like 3 p.m. when we had to leave for our flight. So everything was as it was meant to be, and yeah, we learned a few life lessons along the way. So in my next video, I am going to be sharing with you guys our experience at Iguazu Falls and sharing with you tips and tricks for planning your trip to the falls. So if you are interested in hearing a little bit more about that, be sure to stick around, hit that like and subscribe button because it'll really help me out. And until I see you guys at Iguazu, stay great, stay safe, and I'll see you then. Bye guys.